Hi. Y'all, we are behind. Okay, so let me fill you in real quick. I got sick last week. I was taking medication that just made me not okay. I got really sick. So I missed Seeking Sister Wife last week. I didn't finish it until recently. So we are going to do that. And then I actually just watched the one from this past Monday, episode 8. So I'm going to put up this one. And then I'm going to put up episode 8. Not immediately following, but like give this one a few hours and then put that one up. So within the next, I don't know, 8 to 12 hours, you're going to get this one and the next one. And then we'll be back into our rotation trying to do Sister Wives. I don't know if we're going to get a My Five Wives video this week just because I didn't get a chance to write a script for it. I was really sick. I say script, they're notes. We all know. Anyway, so if you're new here, hi, that was my rambling explanation. I'm Cozy. This is my co-host Graham. He's kind of taken a little bit of a nap. He is a potentially Great Dane puppy. There he is. Who likes to watch reality television shows featuring sister wives. So I do like to remind you these videos are for entertainment purposes only. These are not facts. They are all my opinions about public figures sharing their lives publicly on television. If that's cool, if we're cool, let's go on. Okay, so those of you who aren't new, you know that I have been trying to deal with the medications for this condition. So I am off of my medications other than the weight loss medication that I'm on. So fingers crossed, things should get a little bit better, should get a little bit easier. I would love to talk about what was going on with those medications. This just doesn't feel like the appropriate time. So we will get into that. If you want an update, let me know. I'll be happy to do a short update. Okay. Let's jump in though, because we're already behind. So we're going to start off with the Ryan family, because the Ryans are still a mess, and that is probably underselling it. Because let's see, they got back home to Texas after trying to see Stephanie. Becky reminds us what happened when they showed up at her house completely uninvited. Because, I mean, she told you not to come, and then you showed up on her doorstep. You honestly thought this was going to go swimmingly? I don't understand. I cannot find a ton of sympathy for them. Not at all. There are two families on here that, generally speaking, I have almost no sympathy for, and that is the Merrifields and the Ryans. And that is just simply because I feel like they just want to be hot messes. I don't know. The other families, I can find a little bit of sympathy in there. There's a small sympathy bone somewhere. But Becky is talking all about how they're so betrayed, they're so heartbroken, and I know she feels like Stephanie is just a giant liar, but I also know we're never going to get the other side of the story. And part of me feels like Stephanie did what she did to try and protect her. Sir, we're filming. People can see you. To try and protect herself, because it does feel like Becky and Justin were going to keep going at all costs. So, we are aware that they were aware that something was kind of going on with the just a friend. I don't know. But Justin says that he's done with Stephanie. She doesn't respect him. And okay, that is kind of a fair feeling to have. She did refuse to talk to you and tell you that she was moving on with Greg. That is a little bit disrespectful. There are not really any great people in this honestly, and he's calling it off. He's done. He's done with Stephanie, and that's fine. He can be done. But Justin claims that he just wanted to bust the windows out of his car when this happened. No, he didn't. But he just doesn't want to wallow in feeling terrible. So he's going to move on. It always feels like the people in these shows are so absolutely disconnected from real human emotion. Because who's like, oh, I want to punch the windows of my car. No, I'm just going to move on anyway. Never mind. He's like, I gave her everything I could, and this is how she treated us. I don't know. Becky says that it's really hard to go through what Stephanie put them through. And Becky's like, it's really hard for Justin to show how he feels, but I know he's devastated. Mark Zuckerberg shows more emotion than Garrick Merrifield and Justin Ryan. Honest to goodness. And Mark Zuckerberg might actually be the world's first human AI. Like, let's be serious. Sorry. My opinion. I don't think he's a lizard person, but he's certainly odd. I am not getting devastated from this at all, but I am getting a lot of these women in these polygamous relationships constantly seem to be projecting their own feelings onto their husbands, because he's giving me nothing, but she seems genuinely hurt and upset. So Justin says it's really tough to go through all this, but he doesn't doubt this lifestyle, because for them, polygamy means strength in numbers. And I don't know, Deuteronomy 17:17 is very clear when it says, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart not turn away. Just saying. I'm just saying. Justin tells Becky that he's going to work out because that's the only way to feel better. That was really kind of their whole thing, it feels like, in that one. So, the Davises are back, and April fills us in that it's been a few weeks since their one-on-one chat, her and Danielle, so they're going to go to a smash room. I've never been to a smash room myself, but they look like fun, and they just want to relieve some of this tension that's been building and building and building in the house. And so they let Danielle have first choice of whatever is she feels like she might want to break. Bye! I lost my co-host. And so Danielle kind of picks up some ceramics, tosses them, busts up some glass, different household items, and April and Jennifer are watching her from outside, even though they're allowed 2 people in the room. And for me, this kind of just speaks to how close those two are and how in sync they tend to be. It just sort of displays the feelings we're being shown of Danielle still feeling like the outsider of the group. She's the newest one. She isn't ready to date anyone else. And these other two, they're constantly on the same page. It's almost like they think on the exact same brain wavelength. So they want to find more women. They want to keep growing. They want to keep going. And the general vibe is that Danielle's kind of supposed to work through these things alone, while April and Jennifer are already solidly in agreement. I'm not saying that's the vibe we get from them. I'm saying that's the way it's positioned as it's filmed. It's positioned in such a way where these two are together and they are sort of putting Danielle in this room and watching her almost in a bubble, almost watching what she's doing as those two think like the Borg in perfect sync. And they're sort of monitoring their human companion to see what it does. Danielle does, to her credit, lean out and ask, does anybody want to join me? And Jennifer leaps up at the opportunity. They toss some things for the bat. They beat the ever-living out of a car windshield together. And it does look like fun. All while voiceover Danielle reminds us she's the newest wife. And she thinks they finally understand that. She appreciates they set this little date up to go get some of the frustration out and bond. And I am waiting at this point for the other shoe to drop. Because these two are about to corner her into agreeing to start dating. I already can feel it. Without having watched the rest of that segment, I already felt it right there. I'm not here for it. Especially because it's only been a couple weeks since that big heart-to-heart the ladies had, and I really had high hopes that April would at least try to defend Danielle a little bit. We're not even getting one episode of that. I am getting the vibe at that point that I was already super wrong. And April was like, this was a great bonding experience for us. And the sister-wife relationship is almost, honestly, more important than the husband-wife relationship in a lot of ways. Graham, can you come here, please? So she's like, this isn't easy. Let's get all this out. You know, leave it all here in this room. Best thing we could possibly do. And then she says the one thing that totally makes me realize the vibes I'm getting are right. She says she thinks it's time to discuss dating again. She really wants to talk to Danielle and see where her head is at. But I thought you wanted her over adding someone else, April. I admit it. I got played. I got played like a fiddle, and I am not getting great vibes from Jen either. I told you that before. I don't get good vibes from her. But April reminds us the last time they brought up dating, Danielle moved out, and she's worried it'll happen again. Then stop bringing it up all the time. The ladies grab some coffee, and April tells us that the sister wives are in a much better place than they were a few weeks ago. You're not about to be. She's like, their version of polygamy requires the wives to spearhead the dating process, meaning they all have to be on board, every single one of them. And she knows that she and Jenny are, but she hopes now is a good time for Danielle. Yeah, less than a month after you gave her this chance to talk to you, she's changed 100%. Her whole heart and outlook on life has changed. Makes complete sense. Doesn't seem insane at all. Nothing. Nope. I'm getting angry because, like, I can't believe that I thought for a hot second that maybe, just maybe, you were being honest. So she broaches that conversation and she says that she knows she and Jennifer would like to start dating again. And how are you feeling about that? And Danielle's like, yeah, I'm a little nervous. I am going to predict it. By the end of the season, Danielle's out. I don't think she stays. She's going to realize they don't really care about her and she's going to leave. And Jennifer's like, there are things that we definitely need to do differently this time. And April laughs and says, you know us, we run at things full pace, really. Which is sort of an interesting way to guilt Danielle into agreeing with it. By self-deprecating your go-getter personality and simultaneously putting her down for holding you back. Great work. That's nice. I hate that. Jen reminds us that she and April have been doing this for 6 years together, and they've always been sure about more kids and more wives. Then have more kids. I mean, you guys have 2 between the 3 of you. You don't have to necessarily add more wives. She says it's easy to forget that the wives are not always going to be on the same page all of the time. Right. You guys aren't Stepford wives. You are normal, regular people. Sorry. I mean, I'm assuming that anyway. Danielle says that she needs to go in with more of an open mind and an open heart as the other two sister wives just stare at her, these blank smiles. It's creepy. It kind of feels like that episode of Goosebumps with all the dolls. Not a fan. Or was that Are You Afraid of the Dark? It really doesn't matter. This feels really manipulative, and whoever called me out last time that I put up a video, I can't remember who it was, and I forgot to go check the comments, and said, no, you're not getting it. April's really manipulative. You get the gold star, 100%. Whoever it was, you get a gold star. Because I got played like a fiddle. She continues at saying, just a few years ago, she would have never considered wives and kids and all of this. And Danielle says she's had growing pains being the newest wife in a polygamous relationship. She brings up that getting married and having a newborn, then lumps in the prospect of dating someone else, that's just a lot for her. And the family has had a lot of change. In addition, they've taken on the new house on top of everything else, but they never seem content. And maybe that's partly because their life is content. And when you stop, that stops. The paycheck stops. If I stop making YouTube videos today, I'm not going to get paid again. Like, I won't get a paycheck next month. So my life isn't necessarily content. I share what I want to share with you guys, but I keep my life, right? If my life were content, then everything I ever did would need to be on video for you guys to see at a moment's notice in order to make, I don't know, I make next to nothing on this channel. $100 a month, maybe. So, it just feels like they can never hold still for a second, because in order to keep that TLC paycheck going, they have to keep going and pushing and going and pushing. And Graham, please stop doing that. I am so sorry. Normally we're not yelling at Graham during the show, but it's weird, insinuating that, I'm sorry, Jennifer continues and says that we understand the person is going to feel right, kind of like how you involved yourself. And it's super weird to insinuate that Danielle forced her way into this family somehow, because that's what it feels like she's saying. And I'm not sure what she's getting at, but then Danielle says she really thinks she needs to be able to take time to get to know someone that they would date. And April immediately goes for the jugular and asks, what guarantee do I have that you won't leave our family again? Wow, okay. Danielle gives her a look halfway between crying and are you freaking kidding me? Which is fair, because the two of you just had this heart-to-heart, and you're throwing this in her face after you just talked to her and told her how much you wanted her to be your sister wife. So Danielle says that being the third wife and a newlywed, it's quite an adjustment. Now, reminder, she's not totally a newlywed. I think she's been with them for a couple years at this point. And she's like, I'll have to share Nick with yet another wife. And while she isn't looking for her insecurity and jealousy to get out of hand, it's always a possibility. Come here, Bubba. April insists that something has to be different, and she doesn't mean in their dating game. She means with Danielle, because she wants to know where Danielle is now that's so different from where she was before. And Danielle's like, I just need to be more open and honest with my feelings, which she's not doing, rather than bottling them up and just leaving. But I don't get the feeling that she can safely do that. Regardless of what April says about making sure she's comfortable enough to voice that hesitancy, April is really pushing it here, trying to get her to agree to something she might not be ready for. April, like, do you really feel ready? And here you can tell in the real answer is definitely no, but she's afraid to say it. She's like, yeah, I do. I don't think we should close the doors down, because that wouldn't be fair. I don't care how fair it is. The doors to my marriage are firmly closed and locked with many, many deadbolts. You're allowed to close the doors to your marriage when you're ready. And if your partner doesn't want to have boundaries or play by those boundaries, you're welcome to leave it if you need to. April says she doesn't want to be naive, but she's cautiously optimistic because Danielle still has a chance to change her mind at any time. And Danielle makes the most valid point she has made all along. You're asking her to bring someone in for her to legally marry. And that's a giant commitment. And her hesitancy is completely understandable. This is a huge deal, and she is okay to feel scared, unstable when it comes to making that kind of decision. So, that's where we're going to leave the Davises for that one. Now we're going to go over to the Salahudin family. And Naeem and Nyla open up about meeting someone. Looks like they are ready to continue on their journey, even if his mother does not approve. We all make our own path in life, and not everyone is going to come with us. And these two may have to forge their own path without Jamila. Naeem asks if Nyla is excited to meet this young lady, and Nyla's like, we've already met her, so I guess see her again? Sounds like she's not super sure about this, but they are meeting Alexis. They've already met her at the pool hall, and she is younger than they are by a considerable bit. She's 26. Nyla recounts that Naeem felt like this was kind of the perfect way to meet someone in person and get their feet wet, so to speak. She went to chat her up, and her body language is definitely not entirely comfortable. She is clearly trying to let something out. She admits that things are awkward, and she's very skeptical that Alexis could be sister wife material. She's trying to keep an open mind, though, because Naeem seems very interested in talking to her. But she does say to his face that her initial impression is absolutely no. He says they're getting themselves out there, and they need to try. But Naeem is excited to meet up with Alexis. He doesn't really have a problem with getting out there and playing with any age group. He just wants to loosen up and have some fun. And he is super hopeful that things are going to go well, and he thinks it should. They head out and they get settled in at a table, and Nyla points out that he seems apprehensive. And Naeem's like, do you think she'll even show up? Nyla's like, she isn't Keisha. These two are obviously still very hurt by Keisha's actions, and that's understandable, but it would have been better for everyone if Keisha had been more honest about her cold feet. The world doesn't work like that all the time, though. Sometimes people just aren't ready to tell you what they need to tell you, and the best way out is through, as they say, and these two are pushing through. So Naeem recognizes that meeting people in person is definitely a struggle for Nyla, and he feels like this might be the best option for them still. Nyla's trying to really push aside any doubts that Alexis will show and remain confident in it, but Naeem hates how hard this is for his wife, when things just don't work out, like that breakup with Keisha happened, and he is okay with taking the lead to find someone in person. On the other hand, Nyla's just hopeful that Alexis is into the same things. But the side eye she gives Alexis when she walks in says, I am not here for it. Naeem immediately begins judging Alexis's outfit, and he thinks she should have dressed better. A nice skirt or a dress to go out for drinks. Honestly, I don't really think there's anything that wrong with her outfit. I personally would have picked a longer skirt, but I'm uncomfortable in my own body and don't get to dictate other people's comfort levels with their own. They judge her pretty harshly and say she's barely dressed and he needs someone who knows how to carry themselves, a mature woman. Okay, just a reminder, I don't know anyone who personally practices Islam, so I'm working from a study basis, understanding from an outside perspective versus a lived experience one. But I do understand there are certain modesty standards in Islam. I also understand that it is not compulsory to do certain things, if I have that correct, like the hijab and certain things. I know for men, I believe it's from navel to knee should be covered. For women, I know people follow different schools of thought on what is the exact. I'm not here to arbitrate what is correct, what is not correct. That is not here at all. I think Nyla might be being a little fast and loose with her judgments. I actually was kind of surprised in the very first episode, the outfit that she was wearing when we first met them. I actually kind of thought, oh, maybe, I don't know if that really fits the modesty standards. Also, you guys went to a wine bar, and I know that alcohol is definitely haram. Like, I know that is. That is one of those things that I understand that. So I'm confused why that's your favorite place to meet up, but I'm also confused why it seems like you are judging a lot of other things through the Islamic lens, but also not following a lot of the teachings that I understand to exist. If you happen to know someone who follows, or understand a little bit better and want to give me some insight, that'd be great. I'm not trying to be rude or inappropriate. I genuinely don't understand, and so I'm here to learn. Consider me a blank canvas. I don't want to fight about it. I just want to understand things. But Nyla says this is a regular place for them and asks Alexis if she likes wine. Once again, still kind of confused. And she's like, I'd like the really sweet ones, the ones that taste more like juice. And I get that because personally, I only like sweet wines. I don't like a really dry wine. I feel like it leaves a weird taste and feeling in my mouth. I'm uncomfortable with it. If you're ever looking for a really nice one, if you have an Aldi near you, there's a $5 one that is fabulous. I love it. And I am so sad that the cranberry one only exists in the fall. Anyway, not sponsored in any way, shape, or form by a random brand from Aldi I didn't even mention. Just really enjoy it. But Alexis, Naeem says that he kind of predicted that would be the case, that she would prefer the more like sweet, more like juice type wines. And Alexis was like, I'm so excited to see them again because I thought we had a really good connection last time. And she really does seem very genuine when she's saying she's excited to see if that will continue. She actually seems to really want to try and understand and try to integrate. So they taste their first glass of wine, and Alexis says, this tastes pink. Just pink. And I am not a wine person, so I don't get into the whole notes of this, flavors of that, hints of blah, blah, blah. I don't get it. It tastes like it tastes. But I can tell that they are super judging her for this, too. And Nyla hands her one, and she's like, try this. And so Alexis smells it first, and she's like, oh, it smells like fruit snacks, and describes the taste similar to sour fruit snacks. And in confessional, they laugh at her and say fruit snacks are not the first thing that would come to mind at a wine tasting. Maybe not for you, but maybe that's the best way she can describe it. I one time described a wine as Fruity Pebbles with hints of cinnamon, because that was the only thing I could come up with to explain what this tasted like. I have also explained bread as tasting the way Play-Doh smells. So feel free to judge me for that, because if you don't know what that means, be glad, because that is the nastiest bread you will ever eat, is bread that tastes the way that Play-Doh smells. I just made some bread. It does not taste like that. It's actually pretty darn good. I spent all day making bread and homemade Oreos. Anyway, we get it. They take their wine very seriously, but not all of us do. Not all of us come from a background where wine is super important. Sometimes it's just something we pair with certain things or have at certain occasions. It's not something that we all take seriously. This could have been a teachable moment. This could have been a moment where you got to impart something that you enjoy to someone else to try and enjoy it. I like whiskey. I'm not pretentious about it. I don't care what you want to drink. If you want to drink a cheap bottle of whiskey, go for it. If you want to drink something that's been aged for, 1,000,000 years in a cask made out of the wood forged from the fires of the dragon, great. Enjoy what you enjoy, because sometimes the cheap stuff hits right, and sometimes you need an expensive one. If you don't know about whiskey, various brands, different kinds, I'm not going to hurt your feelings. I'll hand you something and say, would you like to taste this? Can I tell you where I got this? That's the better option. Offer a new experience. Offer something more than judgment. But this young lady is definitely giving off a vibe of being genuinely interested in getting to know them and putting herself out there. And they are acting like she's just some sort of 5-year-old play acting at a tea party. And I'm not really here for it. I get that she's acting super young, but I don't know. They talk about their taste buds and how taste buds change over time, and they do. And Alexis admits that compared to them, she probably has baby taste buds. And they laugh and say her age is coming through quite a lot. She is 26. She is not 12. I understand she is acting pretty immature for 26, in my opinion. And would I believe you if you were like, oh, she lied about her age? Absolutely, because she does actually seem much closer to 2021, in my opinion. That does not mean that that is accurate. But Naeem excuses himself to the restroom, and so Nyla takes the opportunity to ask what Alexis thinks specifically of him. And she's like, he's fun. And she's like, I feel like we mesh. Nyla takes the chance to say that if they decide to move forward with dating, they have guidelines and boundaries that are expected to be followed. She says there's no one-on-one dates initially, and maybe if they gel as a group and the ladies vibe down the road, that could be the case. Alexis is like, oh, I initially thought this was going to be more one-on-one, and then we would all come together as a group later. But Nyla's like, we like to do it the other way, because from experience, it just works better that way. Alexis is like, oh, well, I thought it would be fine to do one-on-one dates and then group dates. And Nyla's like, no, it doesn't work very well. Alexis is like, you never know. I think she thinks she's giving off this fun, kind of quirky air, like, oh my gosh, I'm so different, and it would be so different with me. You can trust me to be one-on-one, and then we can see if we vibe. I already see Nyla's not happy about it, because her boundaries are being disrespected. Sort of like your mother-in-law isn't happy when her boundaries are disrespected, huh, dear? Just a thought. Just a thought. In private, Nyla does say she is definitely offended that Alexis thinks she would just be able to come in and date Naeem on his own. She's in the mindset of past relationships where women came in thinking that they would be able to have him, and Nyla was just sort of out, or just sort of, extra set dressing, if you will. She says this date is not going well at all. to be fair, Jamaila's given us reason to think that the more typical arrangement is in Islam would be that the wives are separate and not one large family. So I understand that maybe what they're looking for is pushing the boundaries. I don't get the feeling that Alexis is involved in their belief system at all. But if she is, they're looking for separate things. But Nyla on the couch looks at Naeem and says, this date is a fumble. Alexis is just too young, and she doesn't respect the guidelines they have for dating as a polygamous couple. Naeem returns from the restroom, and he's like, you guys talking about me? And what did I miss? And Nyla shares that they were discussing the guidelines for one-on-one dating and the relationship progression. And Alexis asks Naeem on his feelings, whether or not one-on-one dating and right away is way too soon. And Naeem says, agrees right alongside with Nyla. No one-on-one dating right away. Nyla takes offense to Alexis asking Naeem's opinion on this after she just asked what Nyla thought. She feels like Alexis is just presuming that these are her rules and Naeem isn't on board with them at all. And while that's possible, I think it is also possible she wanted to hear what the expectations are from both parties, because it's better to be sure that everyone is on the same page in these kinds of situations. And clearly Alexis is not, because she would rather do one-on-one dates earlier on. Naeem points out that he's expecting to be a unit, and he thinks it's best for them to date as a unit until they're comfortable enough with each other and comfortable with the idea of being alone. And he points out that this is a tough thing to be doing and there has to be trust. So Alexis asks them, what makes you want to go down this path? And Nyla's like, that's a good question. You want to answer that? Obviously, it feels to me shutting down. He points out that it was Nyla's idea, and Alexis is like, whoa. Nyla's like, it's surprising to me how often women are shocked that this was the woman's idea. And Alexis teases that Naeem was probably thinking it. It was just Nyla that said it first. And he's like, no, I was actually really hesitant about it. And she's like, oh, you were surprised by it? Naeem didn't want to interfere with what they already had, but seeing the benefits sort of changed his mind. And Alexis wants to know, are you worried polygamy is going to interfere with what you have? And he says, yeah, I still am. Naeem poses his own question, asking how she feels knowing what they're about and how she feels she would fit into that equation. Alexis says, I feel like we're meshing perfectly fine right now, and I think this is going to be fun. Naeem admits then on the couch that he was basically kind of like hitting Nyla under the table, trying to let her know he's ready to leave. He's done. He thinks this date was a bad idea. The conversation's all over the place, and Nyla's like, probably best just to wrap it up. But Alexis was just going to keep talking. And then Naeem's like, yeah, she was just eating chips. I don't know what that was about. I mean, if they're there, eat them. I don't know. Nyla tries to say gently that it's getting late. I'm sure you probably have to get going. All those platitudes. And Naeem and Nyla hug her. And poor Alexis says that being out with them, she felt like they have a lot more exploring to do. And she thinks that everybody was really comfortable with each other. Because I feel really badly for her when she sees how they spoke about her on television. When she was just trying to be so positive. Nyla and Naeem sit in silence, and then he says no, absolutely no. Hey, a callback to what Nyla said earlier. He says there's no connection, no similarities. And Nyla's like, yeah, we are worlds apart. Naeem says he felt like it was his daughter at the table. And they agree she is way too young mentally for this type of relationship they're looking for. And Naeem's like, no, 26 is just way too young at all. Naeem thinks that putting themselves out there was a great idea, and Nyla's like, even though this didn't go exceptionally well, I don't really want to give up. The whole process is hard, but it's who they are, and so she's not ready to give up on it. And they haven't found the one yet, so they're just going to keep seeking. So, we are going to move on to the last family in this episode, the Merrifields. And, this is a rough one, okay? Because they are back home in Colorado, and they're visiting the family, and in their confessional, Garrick's like, we decided to break the exciting news that we're engaged to Natalia. And Danielle looks like she is about to throw up on him. Garrick's like, we're so nervous to tell them, especially after how quickly things, moved after ending with Roberta. And when asked about the trip, Garrick can only describe it as eventful. But he does spit out that he ended up proposing to her. And Sam is not happy. He repeats back, you proposed? And she said yes. He looks bewildered and actually sort of angry. Like, almost like he's looking around hoping that someone else is going to freak out with him. Because it looks like it is barely bubbling just below the surface. And in private, he's like, this is ridiculous that he proposed so soon after Roberta left him. And Samantha's like, I have no words. Which is very much living up to the, if you don't have anything nice to say, adage. But in private, she's like, Garrick, why? And we are all asking that because she thinks they're crazy and moving way too fast. Are you sure about this? Brazil didn't work out very well the first time, Danielle's dad asks. And of course, Garrick is sure because God spoke to them. And Samantha wants to know, how long have you known Natalia before you felt like God wanted you to marry her? And Danielle barely whispers, like 2 months. And Samantha cuts everyone off and says, this is just crazy, Garrick. She feels like he's just repeating himself and doing the same stupid thing over and over again. Danielle feels like her brother and sister-in-law are staring her down, and Samantha's like, no, I am in shock. But Sam just keeps telling Garrick specifically that he is crazy. Sam and Samantha are willing to speak facts here, and they keep hammering home you are doing the same thing over and over again. Natalia doesn't speak fluent English. Natalia's from another country. You haven't known her very long. And some of these factors would be way less of an issue if you weren't trying to bring her here to live a plural lifestyle that you know you can't really, truly get a visa to do. Sam's frustrated seeing Garrick and Danielle doing the same thing over and over and over again, especially because Sam and Samantha are the sounding boards for these emotions every time these things don't work out. And they ask if Natalia wants a wedding, and of course she does, because who wouldn't? But they aren't even sure what visa they're applying for. They explain the difference between the K-1 fiancé visa and the spousal visa, meaning Garrick would have to legally marry her in Brazil to apply for the second option. But immigration is going to see this footage as part of the process, and I'm pretty sure that's going to get shut right down. Because according to the State Department at travel.state.gov, under the ineligibilities and waivers section, under Section 10A, practicing polygamists, any immigrant who is coming to the United States to practice polygamy is inadmissible. And that's precisely what the Merrifields are looking to do. The answer is no, no matter how many times they travel outside of the country. It is unlikely that Garrick will be able to bring anyone back. Even off the show, it would be unlikely that immigration agent would ever trust them enough to issue a visa for the second party after seeing this. I'm sorry. I went and looked it up from the State Department. Goodness gracious. Samantha wants to know what Natalia's plans are as far as moving here. And Garrick kind of stumbles, explaining that Natalia's a lawyer and she wants to open her own practice. But Samantha pushes, asking if Natalia will need money. And Sam wants to know if there's going to be a prenup. Because Garrick divorced his sister. And if there's no prenup, then what? Where does this leave Danielle? Danielle whispers, yeah, we've thought about that. And Samantha's pressing them. I know you think this is what God wants, but do you feel like this could end badly again? And Garrick says, those are just fear and worry, just kind of blowing it off. And Sam's like, they should have thought this through. And Garrick's like, we're just obeying God. He says that before they left for Mexico, they felt a cloud of the Holy Spirit wash over them and just leave them in joy and laughter. But that's not what Danielle has been saying in pretty much every episode before this one. And it seems like this only exists when Garrick has a hole he needs to dig himself out of. And Sam's like, if I have to guess this is going to work, it's 40-60 against. So basically, he feels like there is a greater chance it's going to fail. Shh. Garrick going biking. And that actually definitely seems fake because they say, rough ride, nice 50-miler. Sirs, one of you is in jeans, A. B, no one is sweaty. Y'all were on those bikes as long as it took to get B-roll. Come on. TLC thinks that we'll notice nothing. I swear. I think they think we're stupid. But this is Garrick's best friend, Bill. And given that I don't remember seeing Bill before, I would question how close they really are, but I mean like that. They're mountain biking, allegedly. And going to discuss Garrick's latest insanity, the life choice. Garrick says that he's been going through everything with Bill, and Bill is someone he can always count on to be there for him. And suddenly they have cans of carbonated beverage that have mystically appeared from apparently the ether, because there were no bags in the previous shot that I could see. So Bill asks Garrick about his upcoming trip to Brazil, and of course Garrick's like, well, since Natalia's a member of the family now, I need to go see her. And Garrick's like, I think that taking an extended trip, or not taking an extended trip to Brazil is what ruined my relationship with Roberta. Sir, that's not it. Messing around dating other people after you straight up promised her you weren't going to do that, that was probably issue number 1. So Garrick shares that they're going to attempt the visa process differently this time. And I literally just pulled the regulations from the State Department for you guys, so we covered that. And they're going to try the spousal visa. Get legally married in Brazil and then bring her here. I understand they would be legally married, but once again, any person's attempting to bring someone in for the purpose of polygamy, that person is inadmissible. I just read it. Section 10A. Listen, he wants to get legally married in Brazil, bring her over here, and this is going to put a damper on his later weird global cult takeover attempts, my opinion. But hey, what's a little immigration fraud between friends? Again, my opinion. In confessional, Garrick says he's really excited now that Natalia's committed to him, because of course you are, and he is headed to Brazil to see her and get legally married. That way they can register in the US and get her a visa. I am going to say this super honestly. If that situation were to work out, I would be absolutely embarrassed by the lack of research that my country puts into stopping any type of immigration fraud. I mean, I'm embarrassed by a lot of things, but this is blatant horse quackery, and I can't. Bill asks how Danielle feels, and acknowledging Danielle's heartbreak after Roberta. And Garrick, can you be like Bill for 10 minutes? No, of course he can't do that, because his Danielle's battle is apparently about how people suck and she's becoming cynical. And then he's like, monogamous relationships have the same problem of people quitting after a bad breakup. This man cannot and will not ever admit that he and Danielle are not in full agreement about literally everything, and it drives me absolutely bonkers. He says they're struggling, and, they would be. Garrick says that because Danielle feels Natalia is less engaged with her since Mexico, and there might be some truth to that. Bill thinks it's wild that Garrick is doing this again, and he says Garrick has always been outgoing with commitment. He's like, a lot of Garrick's decisions make him go, what? Oh, you're Garrick, that's what I expected from you. That is hardly a glowing review, in my opinion. He goes on to call him a crazy bastard. And Bill points out that it feels like wasted time and wasted money going to Brazil, and that Danielle definitely seems unhappy. And maybe Danielle should run off with Bill, since he seems to get her way better than Garrick ever does. I am watching Bill trying to get Garrick to act like he understands human emotion by asking if he worries about jealousy and pointing out that Roberta broke his heart. And this dude could not be more one-dimensional when he says, oh, yeah. What? And like clockwork, Garrick says, it's on the women to be honest and look out for each other and not develop an ego and look out for each other's best interests. And then it will be beautiful. I am really thinking this man saw the film Stepford Wives and failed to realize that it's fictional. And then he says if they don't follow that blueprint, it will just be crazy. Oh, so if they're human. Got it. Garrick asks for Bill to pray for him, and I genuinely hope that Bill prays for Garrick to realize he's absolutely Looney Tunes. It has been a month since Garrick and Danielle have been home, and she is self-filming a confessional for us. She admits she doesn't feel like things are where they should be, and Natalia and Garrick are building a relationship, and they talk a lot. But Garrick and Danielle are in a really bad place. And cut to a fight between Garrick and Danielle's pointing out that Natalia is ignoring her messages, and Garrick's defending, saying, it's Father's Day, she's at dinner with her family, celebrating. And Danielle points out, Natalia's responding to you. She says the communication just hasn't been there. She feels like the attention is entirely on Garrick, and sisterhood just isn't important. She feels like Garrick isn't taking her concerns seriously at all. And back to the fight, he's like, well, it's a response on the old phone? I don't know what that means, but whatever. Danielle says, no, she hasn't responded, and tries to explain, but Garrick just keeps repeating over top of her, not at all today, not at all today, not at all. I hate when people argue like that. I hate that. And Danielle says, not since she saw my messages, no. And she's getting heated, and Garrick just shuts down, refusing to respond to her either. And in confessional, Garrick says that women are emotional and nurturing. And that makes them vulnerable to thoughts and ideas that they just run with emotionally. And that we have to learn not every thought that enters our mind is good to entertain. Oh, is that all? Is that what I have to learn, Garrick? Is that what I need to learn? You're right. You're absolutely right. How stupid could I have been just letting every little thought that flits into my brain be the one thing that I think about for the rest of my life? The fight's heated, and so am I, as they argue about how many times Natalia has been responding to Garrick in the last 2 hours while she was ignoring Danielle. And Garrick, of course, feels like it's a matter of time before Danielle gets a response. She just needs to calm down. And Danielle's like, I'm feeling slighted personally. And Natalia is trying to move in on Garrick. Garrick's like, how many times have you not responded to her in like 4, 6, 10 hours? And Danielle's like, that's not the issue. It's how many times you two have been in contact in the last 2 hours. Danielle's like, I'm not sure what my relationship with Garrick even is, and he's headed to Brazil to be with Natalia. And they've decided he should go for a month. She knows they need the separation, that this is going to be healthy for them, and she's worried that Garrick's going to run off with Natalia, and she's definitely terrified of this legal marriage. What if he decides to stay there, and this is the end for the two of them? And if it were to be, all the better for you, Danielle. Seriously. Honestly, let him go. Let him go to Brazil. Let him stay in Brazil. Who cares? So that's that one. Obviously, Danielle and Garrick always get me hated. If you're new here, I cannot stand Danielle and Garrick because as a pretty... I'm a believing Christian. I don't like the way that Garrick espouses my religion. At least the other couples, they don't really kind of, try to blaspheme on live television. Or whatever you want to call it. So, that is episode 7. I've already watched episode 8, so I know where this is going, which probably factored into my anger already. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to like it, leave a comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. I'm here having a great time, excited to talk to you guys about this show. I cannot wait to see you soon, so I'm going to put this one up, and then, like I said, it'll only be a few hours, and then episode 8 will be up. Kind of as my thank you to you guys for being so darn patient as I'm going through all these medication changes and everything else dealing with this condition. Like I said, if you want an update on what was going on with the medication, feel free to ask. I would love to be candid with you about it. I just didn't think this was the platform for it. So, I can't wait to talk to you guys soon. Bye!